Friends, the topic of today's podcast is the message from the auto slowdown. For long, we have seen that the auto industry has done very well, growing quarter after quarter, month on month, and demonstrating robust growth. We've seen new models being introduced, success rate rising, companies hitting all-time high volumes year after year. And this was one industry which became a benchmark of consumption. If autos did well, it means people were consuming well. And that's not very wrong either. It's a fairly reasonable guess to use the auto industry as a benchmark of how well people are inclined to spend and consume. So this slowdown is something that has kind of shocked investors, consumers, government and manufacturers. But this slowdown is not surprising. The reasons are that we are in a phase of disruption which is quite unprecedented. Firstly, we have the industry level disruption where the industry is transitioning from the BS4 to the BS6. Effectively, the auto industry has to replace its entire BS4 inventory with BS6 inventory. This means that the entire BS4 inventory has to be sold, registered and passed on to consumers. The dealers would need to rid of their entire inventory by 31st March and have fresh inventory of BS6 on 1st April. This means that we are heading for a phase of massive inventory churn that no auto manufacturer, no dealer can escape from. The entire industry chain has to pass through this transition. Now look at what the industry did this year. They postponed launch of all new models and continue to produce the old models at the same pace, hoping to maintain the same growth right to the end. This, from a risk, strategy and business standpoint, seems like a gamble which the industry has done. There was clear investor fatigue, there was clear consumer fatigue, but there was no industry fatigue. So the industry did not really read too much into what was happening in the outside world and was kind of on its own trip. So while we saw a slowdown in cars, industry did not adapt till it was forced to adapt. It is only when the dealers could no longer take deliveries and hold inventories that the production stop has come. The industry could have very well moderated this transition. The industry could have also advanced the launch of BS6. The industry could have well created buzz around new models much earlier than it planned. And given the nature of the change, the magnitude of the transition, the sensitivity of trade, the change in customer preferences that we see from cars to SUVs, the industry could have been far more prepared than it is today. And most importantly, the industry failed to read or regard adequately the crisis in their biggest partners in business, which is the financiers. The problems of the financial system simply did not bother the industry till it hit them hard. And when everything hit them hard, the industry obviously is not able to take this. Now this, in my opinion, is more an industry level problem, an industry level failure than really a government failure. Now what can government do? Assume the government reduces GST. That would probably apply more to the cars that are going to be produced, which means it would apply more to the BS6 vehicles. It would not apply to the entire inventory that is there in the pipeline, which has been pushed by the manufacturers onto their dealers, onto their financiers, and into their own downstream. Now, you cannot really do anything on that. Effectively, dealers and financiers who hold inventory must be given discounts. And these discounts are definitely not going to be borne by the government. It is not fair to expect that. So, effectively, industry has to bear that cost. The cost of creating a bus, the cost of cleaning up the channels, cleaning up inventory, and preparing the industry to BS6 should logically be borne by the industry. So, in this, the industry has to change its mindset and act swiftly instead of waiting for government to act. By doing that, the industry is not helping its customers, it's not helping its shareholders, it is not helping its ancillaries, it is not helping its financiers, nor is it helping itself. So, essentially, this should not become a management failure, and it is for companies to respond. Stopping production is only one part of the response, but I would expect a lot of proaction in bringing customers into the showroom, in creating some buzz, in exciting them some way. Obviously, price has to be a very important aspect that would excite customers to buy inventories of outgoing models, and industry should bear this responsibility. Insofar as government reducing taxes is concerned, this is not going to be a long-term solution. And what is not a long-term solution can never be an industry solution or a societal solution. And that is why the government seems to be hesitating to bite that bullet. But what can the government do? The government can definitely ensure that the cut in interest rate sees complete transmission. We are not seeing that. And the government can also ensure that whatever NBFC credit has moved out of auto finance is quickly and swiftly replaced by bank credit. So, banks should be encouraged to lend to auto sector. So, that is something that can happen, and it will also boost consumption and reverse sentiment. So, in that sense, government also has some part to play, though it is not in the nature of a tax cut. What should investors do? Now, investors are used to high growth. We are used to thinking that auto industries can never fail. We have seen the bullishness in several companies, and where analysts were very comfortable projecting earnings of companies. It doesn't seem to be the case now. But investors should understand that this is an industry where innovation is going to come back in full speed. It will be something which will be appreciated by customers. The newer models will find very good reception. You should remember that in the last time Maruti migrated and tried to upscale customers to its current range of sedans from hatchbacks, it created a huge success and created a brand new category. And I think that the stage is set for another new category to be created in the mini SUV area. So, I think that industry is definitely going to succeed at that, and investors would do well to focus on those companies which would be able to achieve greater success and avoid those who are not going to do as well. So, this is a phase of churn for everybody. Consumers can buy, they'll get great deals. Industry should facilitate and play a big part in the transition. Government should ensure that the transmission of interest rates and availability of credit is made better, and shareholders can think of better investments in the industry which they could bet for the longer term. So, it is an opportunity for everybody and not really a crisis. Even if you still think it is a crisis, there lies an opportunity in this crisis. Thank you very much.